Okay, so when we left last time, I was under the impression that we were going to have to set all of this to one side for the time being and start work on the neck, because the pickguard I've got is the wrong one. Basically, it's got the holes for the adjustment screws on the standard Telecaster pickup, which of course we're not going to have. We're having a humbucker in there, and as I explained last time, those holes just don't work. Doesn't matter what I do, whenever I cut that humbucking sized hole out, those holes will be in the wrong position and I'll have to drill more for the actual mounting screws, and it will look a dog's dinner. So my plan was I was either going to order an Esquire pickguard or a pickguard already cut for a humbucker, and that was going to take a couple of days to get here, so I wasn't going to be able to do any work on this and we'd start the neck. However, I managed to find a pickguard on 24-hour delivery, and it's come overnight, and I have it, and it's exactly the same as the old one, apart from it hasn't got the holes drilled in it, which means I can route that out perfectly, fit the humbucker to it, job's a good one. So rather than start on the neck and get things out of order, I figured we might as well get things finished off on the body to the point where we can put it to one side for a little while and actually do the neck properly. So I'll get the rest of this stuff out of the way and we'll start to look at what we need to do to get this pickguard cut out and fitted in position. But the first thing that I want to do with this is just to get it fastened into position, because everything else kind of works off of that. So all I'm going to do is kind of get it to where I think it looks the best, particularly around the kind of horn area. So I'll just kind of work my way around. Screw that in position best I can. With the pickguard in place, put the bridge in next, and what I've done is I've put quite a precise little mark on a bit of masking tape for exactly where the centre of that is on the back. Just going to line that up on the centre line, and I know, because I've made a few tellies from this set of templates, that if the cutout for the pickup is kind of lined up with the edges of the route in the body, we're in the right place. So just hold that in position and get the first screw in. And as always, I'm making sure I've got plenty of wax on the screw threads. I'm actually putting quite a small pilot hole in for these screws, because this wood is very soft, so I'm leaving plenty of meat for the threads to grip into. Test that and everything looks square and parallel and everything. So I'm going to take the first 2 screws out again. Now that we know we've got the positioning correct, get rid of that bit of masking tape and get everything screwed back in properly. That's the bridge in, and then that just leaves this cover plate for the controls, etc., which didn't come with any screws, so we'll dig a couple out. And this is quite a straightforward fix. We just bang one screw in where it meets the pick guard. Because realistically, that's only going in one place. And then it's just a case of measuring from the bottom of the bridge. Make sure everything's parallel. Then next up, we just need to get a couple of strap buttons on. I've just kind of marked this with a marking gauge kind of into the centre of the body there. Quickly drill it out and screw them in. Now, I always like to get these done kind of well ahead of time. I've sometimes seen people building guitars and kind of leaving this sort of job right till the very last minute when everything's painted, and that kind of just fills me with dread. But personally, I'd much rather do this kind of work at this stage because I can slip without messing the finish up. And the last job I want to just get out of the way before I do anything with that pick guard is just to drill the holes for the neck bolts. Now, what I've done is I've positioned this neck plate upside down just because I need it that way for these transfer punches to work properly, because obviously the other side of that is countersunk, so it doesn't locate properly. And then I'm just going to kind of give those a tap just to mark where those bolt holes are going. Like that, and then we can get the appropriate size drill bit onto there, which is well, those screws are measuring just a little bit over 4.1 mil, so I'll probably go in at 5 millimeters because I want plenty of space around the threads. I don't want the threads catching in these holes because sometimes that can kind of like stop your neck from clamping in properly. So run a 5mm drill bit through there, and that's that bit done. And I'm just going to hold a piece of scrap material into the neck pocket just to stop it blowing out too much. With this being softwood, and that all seems to work absolutely fine, and it all looks okay in there as well. Not too bad at all. A little bit of blowout, but nothing that we need to worry about. So with all that done, we can now move on to the job that we initially were going to do, and that is to get this pickup to fit into that scratch plate. And to do that, we're going to need a template. Luckily though, you don't need much of a template for a humbucker. It is essentially just a rectangle with slightly rounded corners. Our router bit will take care of the rounded corners, so we just need to make an appropriate sized rectangle. And it's actually very, very straightforward. I'll get this out of the way, show you exactly how I do it. Because all I use is 4 little bits of MDF, and they don't actually have to be kind of the right size as such, as long as they've got some square ends on them, which these have kind of got. And all you do is you arrange them thus. Make sure I'm getting the square ends where they need to be. Kind of glue them all together nice and tight, and you're left with the size of template that you need. And just start off, glue them into pairs. And to be honest, they don't have to even be that strong or durable. Kind of, they're that quick to make, you can use them as a disposable template. Just make a new one next time you need it. And there we have it. Absolutely spot on fit. And then I just want to see which router cutter is the kind of the best match to what we want to do. It isn't always 1/4 inch, but I think on this one 1/4 inch is working quite nicely. So that is what I'll use. So I'm going to do a little bit of clearing up on the bench, get everything out of the way, and then we can get this template set up onto the scratch plate. Okay, so I've took the bridge and everything off this again, still left the scratch plate in position because we need to now mark that up as accurately as we can. So we're just going to get some masking tape roughly over where the centre line goes. Just trim that up nice and neat. See the centre line there. Draw that in. And then we're going to have to do a little bit of maths. Pickup's about 38mm, and half of that is 19. So in theory, I'd need to come back from the edge of there 19mm to get the centre point of our pickup position. However, this edge of the pickguard is just a little bit back from the route that we put in. I've measured it, it's about 2.5mm. So I'm going to put a bit of masking tape on. And I'm just going to use a compass. Put a couple of marks on. And that'll be our centre line for there, and hopefully there'll be something like even in it. It's not bad at all. Yeah, that is pretty good. Now it's just a case of matching all those centre lines up, getting it all taped down into position, and then breaking out the router. So we're about ready to stick this on and do the routing. I'm actually going to route it in situ. I think that makes the best sense to me. Everything will just be a lot steadier and firmer. I've marked where I need to drill for my mounting holes. I've just put a bradawl mark in there. And then I'm just going to get a bit of masking tape on there. Exact same procedure so many times in the past. Super glue and masking tape, job's a good one. And I'm just going to use the small router on this 1/4 inch cutter, and you might notice I've got the cutter shank extending a little bit more than I might otherwise normally do it, and that's because I'm just going to run the shank of the cutter around this template, because we obviously haven't got a 1/4 inch bearing guided bit. We're not taking out too much material and it is quite thin, so I think it will be absolutely fine. So I'll get my earphones on and get this blasted out. Okay, so that seems to have gone okay. We'll pull that off. All looks nice and clean, and that is a nice fit in there. And I can see from just positioning that my marks for the screw holes are kind of where we need them to be. So we might as well get those drilled out before we do anything else. 2.5 drill bit should be spot on for that. Try and get the tape off without removing the protective film. And then I think I'll do a quick time lapse, get this off, get the pickup fitted, get the bridge and the cover plate back on, and we can see how we've done. And there it is, all put together and the pickup fitted, and I think that looks absolutely splendid. Really, really happy with the way that looks. All come together very, very nicely. And with all that put together, there's a little bit of shopping I need to do, because I need to get obviously some electronics and another pickup. but we're not ready for that just yet anyway. So I really am going to put this to one side now and make a start on the neck, but obviously that's going to be for the next episode. So I'm going to leave this one here. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does make a difference to the channel, and I will look forward to seeing you in a few days' time. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.